Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Good morning from Paradise Surfers. Happy Monday. It is December 22nd, 3 days from Christmas. End of the year is upon us. Happy to be here, guys. My name is Crypto Amaru, joined with you guys as always with Crypto Hitman. Got a lot of great stories to cover today. Bitmine continues to load up on more Ethereum. When will they hit their goal of 5% of the Ethereum total supply? And what price will Ethereum be at when that finally does happen? Saw the United Arab Emirates. Gotta love it when the oil money starts to buy Bitcoin, don't we, folks? They've bought a reported $900 million worth of Bitcoin, and I do not think they're done. I don't think they're done. I see Michael Saylor out there making the rounds, shilling Bitcoin to the Arabs. Love to see it. Love to see it. And what else do we got? The Fed QE Lite. They've been injecting money into the financial markets, into the banking system for going on a few weeks now. Hasn't shown up in the price of Bitcoin, but look at gold. Look at gold. Look at the stock market. And you guys are still bearish, and somehow you're still bearish about this asset class and about hard assets. I'll never understand it, but hey, that's why we're here, to spread a little bit of love, a little bit of good cheer, and a little bit of bullishness around the holidays. So with that, first of all, how was your weekend there, Nick?
Pretty good. I had to host an annual holiday party. So since like 2011, a group of friends would have like a hide a key game where you hide the Santa's key. Whoever finds it wins the prize and then gets to host the party next year. So I won last year, so we hosted this year. It's pretty fun. We did that on Saturday. And yesterday I didn't do too much. Watched football, set the fantasy lineups for the playoffs. Watched Bitcoin and Ethereum show a little bit of green candles. How about yourself?
Yeah, was very encouraged to see some outperformance over the weekend here. Perhaps not a surprise that we see some strength in Bitcoin and ETH when that big seller, the seller who materializes seemingly every day, weekday that is, at around 10 a.m. Eastern, well, he wasn't in the market over the weekend, so maybe that had something to do with it. But the charts are looking better. I know we've been consolidating around 88, 90,000 for what seemed like a couple weeks now. That's good. That's good. Let's let the rotation sort of continue to play out, and I think we are looking at a very bullish start to 2026. So what are the charts telling you as of now there, Nick?
Yeah, we can see the sell-off here. We had the retest all the way down here, and this rally over the weekend was solid. We'll see if the seller is back now that it's a weekday, because there is no rule that they only can sell on weekdays, but it didn't happen over the weekend. And we got a higher low, higher low, higher low, just like we've been talking about and like we have wanted. We are trying to regain the 200 moving average. Remember, I've been saying we need to rally out, get above the yellow, get rejected at the red. We're above the yellow now. Let's see if we can hold this today and work towards the red 300 moving average, which is now down to $93,000. It was closer to $95,000 just a week ago. Remember, 95,000 is a big number for Bitcoin bulls, for MicroStrategy. If we can get that by the end of the year, that just almost guarantees in my mind that we are in an extended cycle. It just helps momentum get back so much quicker, and hopefully we can get new all-time highs even within January or February. If we don't get 95,000 by the end of the year, that means MicroStrategy is going to show red. There's going to be a little bit of a FUD storm for mainstream media, and MicroStrategy is going to have issues raising more funds to buy more Bitcoin immediately. Doesn't mean the cycle is over. It just gets a lot easier, and it's not that far away. So let's see if we can do that. The NASDAQ did open up today, up 0.5%, consolidating up here at the highs. Kind of looks a lot like the gold chart here, where it had a major top, had an ABC correction, tries to attack the high, and now it's consolidating. I think gold is breaking out as we speak, so we'll show that. The reason I show this is because strong gold puts pressure on Bitcoin. When gold starts to sell off, we see a rotation of Bitcoin. Strong gold means people are funneling money into a 30, what is this now? 31 trillion, $30 trillion asset. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's struggling to catch a bid. These were the highs that we called the exact top on. When this happened, Bitcoin ran from 80,000 to 116,000. Ever since then, Bitcoin has been grinding lower, and now we got gold breaking out to new highs to $4,418, as it did fall short of 4,400 not once but twice back here in October. So we're keeping an eye on that. It does have a bearish divergence on here, new high while lower RSI level. It would be nice if we got another sell-off in gold and saw some of that rotation theory back to Bitcoin. And then, of course, Ethereum been outperforming Bitcoin up above 3,000, that big mental barrier. That's what we want to see. Consolidating between the moving averages. And this is getting very tight very quick. Doesn't take much time for Ethereum to break up or down from this moving average consolidation. I'm rooting for it, of course, and thinking it is going to break up over time here. And we're going to start attacking up into the high 3,000s. And when that happens, things get a lot easier. We have had some bears in the channel talking about $110,000 Bitcoin. And that would put Ethereum into the fours, maybe even $5,000 at this point. And all I can say to the bears is if we can get a rally in Bitcoin to 110 and Ethereum to 4,000, and then we can reevaluate, I am more than happy with that. And if that's your bearish scenario, I'm all for it.
I wouldn't mind seeing Bitcoin 110. It'll get there. ETH get back to 4,000. It's all written. It's all going to happen likely sometime in early 26 because I just don't see there being the sort of, let's just say, the macro and then the chart and the sentiment allowing us to do a big run here, 8 days left. There's a lot of tax harvesting going on. There's still the sellers out there. I think there's, recognition now amongst market participants that 1010 had a much more negative material impact on the markets than maybe we first thought. Apparently 30% of market makers, that's the rumor anyway, 30% of market makers were fully liquidated and have had to be selling assets to cover their debts. So end of the year, I think just more consolidation. I hope we get back to the 95. We're not going to get to 110, but it is going to happen at some point. I want to talk about gold, though, because obviously when gold goes on a run, you see all the gold bugs out there dunking on Bitcoiners. Gold's better. You should invest in Bitcoin. Look at gold's price performance this year. Bitcoin's flat. Gold's up, 80%. Okay, sure. That is all true. 2025 we know was tough for Bitcoin and good for gold. And great, good for the folks who got into gold and made money on that trade. I'm happy for you guys. But if you're looking at the two assets today and asking yourself, what is the better investment to make with my, I don't know, I got $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. Where should I put my money? Look, gold might make you feel good for a minute. Oh, I bought, it went up. That feels great, doesn't it? Oh my gosh, I got it right. I made 5%, I made 10%. But do we really think that over the next 12-month, 24-month, 5-year time horizon, do we really think gold is going to outperform Bitcoin? Is gold going to somehow, over the next few years, get to a $60 trillion asset, and Bitcoin is not even going to get to a $4 trillion asset? That doesn't make any sense. It's not going to happen. And so if you are looking to double your money, triple your money, 5x your money, gold's not it, guys. Not anymore. So you might feel good when you make the trade. Oh, it's green. But I'm telling you, over a 5-10-year period, Bitcoin is absolutely going to outperform Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to outperform gold by orders of magnitude.
Yeah, before we look at this chart, let's go through the chat box. We got Nonso06. What's going on? The Wise Tent says good morning as well. Rifa Crypto. Hello, Sir Amaru. Good morning. Good morning. Nonso Gold is pumping for real. That's what's interesting about gold. It just hit this new all-time high by like $50. Somebody, a crypto guy, gold's pumping for real. But if you zoom out and look at the actual percentage gains, it's like a 2x on gold. And you have mainstream euphoria, retail lining up around the corners to buy it, everybody needing to get their hands on gold, jewelers melting down timepieces for the gold value. I don't know. That's the type of stuff that called the exact top. We're not seeing that right now, so I'm not calling it top again. But again, it is a big number, but it's also a $31 trillion asset now in which you made a 2x on over the past several years. It isn't like massive gains or anything like that. I mean, the crazy thing is Bitcoin went from 15,000 to 126,000 and gold doing a 2x got more FOMO. That's what's wild to me on this scenario and which we've seen for Bitcoin this cycle. And that's really because Ethereum didn't follow, nothing followed, altcoins didn't follow, so you don't have any of that retail fight, hype and FOMO. Mainstream media thought they already missed Bitcoin ages ago when it was like $1,000. So that's why you don't really get that FOMO and that onslaught of buyers. But we'll see if that changes, because the wise tent here says, I think people are bearish because they are slowly realizing that retail, as we know it, is gone. Gone are the days of plus 20% a day. So when price moves sideways, when it should be higher. Yeah, there is no retail right now, but that doesn't mean they can't ever come back. And the reason I say that is some people are like, retail doesn't exist, or retail is broke, or retail will never come back. We just saw retail line up around the corner for gold at a $30 trillion valuation and buy the exact top when it went from $4,400 all the way down to what, $3,000, $3,500 gold. So they will chase stuff. We see retail FOMOing, waiting in lines for Pokemon cards, for shiny cardboard. Now One Piece is really hot. Many of you probably don't even know what One Piece anime is. One Piece cards are going for $300 a card, selling out in all the stores. So retail has money, they have appetite, they need a reason to come play, and hopefully we get that reason sooner rather than later with better liquidity conditions, lower interest rates, institutions piling into ETH and Bitcoin, and maybe they can create, manufacture, manipulate some steady green candles that gets retail back interested.
One Piece is a great show, by the way. I didn't know about it, and then it popped up on my Netflix. I watched the whole season. I'm not normally into kind of fantasy shows like that, but I thought it was actually really good. I think they're coming out with season 2 soon. I don't know much about the playing cards. But I do want to go back to the Wise Tents comics. I think it's spot on. By the way, shout out to Wise Tents. Shout out to all the new viewers and listeners on Crypto Paradise. We're working hard. We are grinding on X and YouTube and growing the community and the channel day by day, because that's how it's done. So appreciate you jumping in. But I want to go back to the comment that you made, because I think it's a good conversation. Gone are the days of 20% a day. Yeah, that's true. Bitcoin's probably too big of an asset. There's just too much liquidity. It's hard to pump a $2 trillion asset 20% in a day. So that's just first and foremost. But I think the bigger picture is people need to understand and then come to the realization and the acceptance that this asset class has changed with the institutions that have come on board. And I don't think we're going to see, your 80% in a month followed by 70% drawdowns and multi-year crypto winters, because institutions have changed the game. You look at the Bitcoin chart and you zoom out since the ETF was approved, and you see what I've been calling like a structured bid. It's kind of a slow grind up. It's not these big peaks and troughs that we saw in the 3 previous cycles. It is a structured bid up. Very similar to what happened to gold. We talk about this a lot, gold, when the gold ETF was approved. So the asset class has changed. We're not getting massive pumps. We're also not getting massive dumps. It's a structured slow grind up. But that's a good thing. Why is this bad? Like, why are we complaining about this? I guess maybe the euphoria is not there. I'm not getting as rich quick. But if your time horizon is 10 years, as it should be if you were in Bitcoin, you should be happy that the institutions are grinding this asset class higher.
And talking about institutions, what do we got here? We got JP Morgan themselves just in $4 trillion, and JP Morgan is considering offering crypto trading for institutional clients. I already thought this was a thing. I thought Jamie Dimon was just talking about this. But more bullish news when this comes tonight. Not if, but when. Considering, no, they're already doing it. Anytime these big players come out and say they're considering something, they already got a team of 10 individuals all making 6 figures developing and working on a software and a product. The only reason they put considering in there is to tease our retail brain, get you excited, and just in case there's some bumps and some hurdles, it buys them some time. So this is already in the works, probably already near completion, and at the first sign of green candles, they know that they can trick or get or convince their clients to then put money into those products, and they can make their fees off of it. So it's a matter of time, when, not if here with this. And it's really, again, when can the institutions manipulate or get constructive green candles in place that spurs client-based FOMO, and then that will roll over to retail-based FOMO in the crypto markets, just like it does in any other markets. Now, the only way this doesn't happen is if we're wrong and QT comes back, QE doesn't begin, interest rates stay flat here or even rise, and liquidity conditions don't get better. But based on the ISM, based off what the Fed is saying, based off the projection that we see from Trump and stimulus checks and everything else, liquidity is going to get better and better, and now it's up to us to evangelize a Bitcoin and blockchain technology, create and manufacture green candles that get other people interested in the market to put their money here rather than Pokemon or sports betting or Polymarket or all the other things they can put their money into now in 2025 and soon to be 2026.
Amen. Amen. The audience approves. Couple points I want to make here on the JP Morgan story. All of the banks, JP Morgan, Fidelity, Bank of America, Vanguard, they're all coming in. They are all coming into this market. They're not going to be offering you the opportunity to invest in some random shitty meme on Pump Fund, but they will give all of their institutional clients and their retail clients the opportunity to buy and hold crypto. All of the banks are going to do it. And that's because there's money to be made. It's simple. It's like, I don't know why people overthink these things. There's money to be made for JP Morgan in management fees, transaction fees. There is demand for it on the client side, and so they will offer these products to their clients. It is so simple. I think one of the impediments why it hasn't happened quite yet, and it's slowly happening, it's unfolding and rolling out. A lot of these banks are rolling out these products. But why it might not have happened yet from a JP Morgan standpoint, or yet from a Bank of America standpoint, et cetera, there isn't yet the clarity, the clarification from the regulatory and legal side for them to feel truly comfortable to roll out these kind of products. But that's where the Trump administration, the Republicans, and maybe even some Democrats and all the lobbyists, that's where they come into play. And we know that the Clarity Act, that's the overarching sort of comprehensive crypto legislation that they're working on now, it's supposed to be coming out in early 2026. And so, guys, it's all happening. The banks are coming in. The regulations are coming. Nick mentioned liquidity. QE lights are already happening as we speak. And yet you guys are still somehow bearish.
Yeah, so why are we catching a green candle this weekend? We know Michael Saylor did post about another orange dot, so he probably bought some more. You know, I keep talking about $95,000 Bitcoin is very critical to MicroStrategy, and then the flywheel effect of buying more Bitcoin, raising more capital. But even with Bitcoin down here around $90,000, Michael Saylor apparently has some cash because they bought more Bitcoin. Who else was buying while you were scared? The UAE now owns over $900 million worth of Bitcoin. Oil money is buying the dip. These guys have like infinite money. These guys probably have more money than the total market capitalization of the entire crypto market. And they are interested in Bitcoin. They're diversifying out of oil, out of gold, into some Bitcoin, into some Ethereum, into some other things. So hopefully that money keeps rolling in. Now, you can talk about the ethics of the money, the morals of the money, what's going on in their various countries. That's up to you to decide. But as far as pure investment analysis and valuation of the investments that we hold, them buying is a good thing, not a bad thing. They got literally infinite money over there.
Yeah, and I don't get too caught up in the morals of their investment decisions. First of all, do you guys ever drive a car? Anyone on the stream ever take a flight? Well, you guys also use oil. So, all right, so let's just get over that. Secondly, the human rights issue. Okay, certainly not great things happening. But as far as the Arab countries go, the UAE is very moderate. So maybe they're not as progressive as we want in the West, and okay, but they're chose to live a life differently, and they're not as bad as what's happening in Afghanistan. So okay, it's all relative. Let's not get caught up in the morals. These guys will continue to buy, and I love to see Michael Saylor out there. I saw him doing an interview on an Arab channel, TV channel. He's out there evangelizing as he does better than maybe anybody else. These guys will continue to buy. Big money will continue to buy. Great comment here from a Wise 10. BlackRock dumped 2,000 Bitcoin. 3,000. It's okay. Yes, I mean, I'm seeing these posts every day on X. Okay, they bought thousands worth. They sold thousands worth. It is that. They buy and sell. They buy and sell, and keep this in mind too. This is not BlackRock's own money. This is their client's Bitcoin. Client probably reached out, oh, I want to rotate into gold. Sell my stuff. All right? I'm out of the market. Sell. But then you have another cohort of thousands of investors saying, I want to buy. So, guys, it ends up being a wash. I don't really make too much of these posts on X about, oh, they're selling, oh, they're BlackRock, it's first of all, it's their clients' money, and second of all, if you look at the ETF inflows over time, the inflows dramatically, by orders of magnitude, outpace any outflows. So not worried about that at all. Yes, there are sellers, but this is not the concern with BlackRock.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what I was gonna say. This isn't BlackRock itself. That could be hundreds, thousands, one individual entity who is buying or selling at any given time. Everybody has their own investment thesis. Obviously, ETF investors on a retail side have a long-term vision because their financial advisor is advising them and just trying to get them to buy and hold to collect fees. But there is institutional players who use the ETF as their trading method for Bitcoin and Ethereum because they trust it or they think they can get more money in and out, whatever it may be. But what's important is always the flows. And if we go down here and look, you can see that the flows are green. So you just want to see, yes, daily flows to give you a short-term trajectory. And as of late, flows have been slightly red. But you want to look, and you come down here, and you see for the time periods, the actual net inflows for, this is the Ethereum ETF, big green. And then you can also go to the Bitcoin ETF here as well. Let this load. Net total inflow, 617,000 Bitcoin. The daily net inflow, 0, daily trading volume, etc. And then you can see, so far this is a 0 for the day. But yesterday was red. The day before was red, but it was massive green. Look, plus 5.21K. The 2 red days don't even equal that. So, I mean, again, you scroll down here. Net inflow on the Bitcoin ETF is over 600,000 Bitcoin being bought up and held in a spot ETF. And this is what we talk about, the supply shock. If retail comes, these ETF is sucked up a ton of the supply. MicroStrategy has sucked up a ton of the supply. There's other Bitcoin DATs and other Bitcoin participants. GameStop, for example, has sucked up some supply. Coinbase is buying more Bitcoin. This is where you can get the supply shock and also where you get the higher floors on Bitcoin and Ethereum price over time because these big institutional players are leveraging their positions to get funds, cash flows via those holdings rather than having to sell them in order to access that capital as well.
The ETFs are bullish, guys. Just remember that. ETFs are bullish. Great data. Sailor's going to come in, do an interview on Crypto Paradise. Yeah, that'd be great. We've got to keep working hard, growing the channel, counting on the support from you guys, our loyal community members. Remember to like, share, subscribe to all our content. Been doing some great content over on YouTube as well. We've hired someone who specifically his job will be to help boost the YouTube and grow the YouTube. So we're working hard, but we need your guys' support. Have a great comment here from Wise Tent again. You know, I read the video title, I see the news. It makes Bitcoin so much less fun than it was years ago. Yeah, maybe, I guess. I mean, but I think you'll be having fun when the green candles come back. You know, we've been in a bear trend for months and months, so certainly that weighs on you. That makes it much less fun. Bitcoin and crypto can still be fun, but then the bigger point is like, do I really need my investments to be fun? Like, I don't look at my stock portfolio and go, oh, it's so fun. But like, it makes me money and I'm going to be able to retire early because I did the right things and invested. Same thing with Bitcoin. Like, does it have to be fun? Ethereum does it have to be fun? I mean, alts should be a little bit more fun. But you know what's fun? Just engaging with the community, going on live streams like this, hanging out on X, shit talking about this, that, the other thing. That's what makes this market fun. But the underlying investment, I mean, does Bitcoin do it fun? Are we here for fun? Or are we here to make life-changing gains?
I get what he's saying because before a news article, you'd be taking active on that news piece and trying to make gains. And right now we haven't been able to do that. But again, if it's a 5-year cycle, not a 4-year cycle, you haven't had the old season yet. So, I mean, it was also a lot of fun. The 3-day meme cycle on BNB was fun. You know, the meme cycle we had 2 years ago when we talked about Pepe and Mongcoin and all those things was fun. Getting involved with Fuck 9 to 5 and PTGC and then launch a surf token on Pulse Chain and Solana was fun. So it's just, we've had outlets of fun. It's just been months now since it's been easy fun. And even those outlets of fun were kind of short-lived as far as you had about a month and a half to really play the game, try to scoop some profit. And it's hard to become a diamond hand, a cold follower, get momentum going when you've had such small time horizons for outlets of gains.
Yeah, it's been months since we've had any fun in terms of like making money on altcoins. We've just been losing money on altcoins. I mean, we're just getting wrecked left and right. I mean, I can't tell you how my investments have just done terribly over the past 2 months. And so that's the antithesis of fun. You know, we can be honest about it. But as to Bitcoin being highly volatile and, being exciting and, news stories pumping you or whatever, okay, maybe those days are gone, but that's okay. That's okay. Bitcoin is still one of the best investments. Even sitting here today, it's still one of the best investments if your time horizon is 5 or 10 years. I truly believe that. May not be as fun anymore. Maybe slow grind up with 30% corrections and 2 months of boredom. But it is what it is. Just accept it, and find some fun in other areas in your life.
What I think is going to be more fun is Ethereum. We've been on the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart for quite a while now, saying Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin. So whatever you think about the cycle, that's up to you. But Ethereum is the place to park your money, not Bitcoin, in my opinion. We've been saying that down here since May 6th of 2025. And in the past 6 or 7 months, we are up 93% against Bitcoin. 93% against Bitcoin. It looks like, once again, Ethereum is holding levels, looking to base and break out. We saw this breakout on the bullish sentiment only December 11th. Obviously, when the markets pulled back, we're sitting back on these moving averages. But I still think Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin the remainder of this cycle and has much higher objectives to attack previous highs all the way up here. So that's where I would be parking my money if you're looking for large cap exposure. And again, we look at the chart, up over $3,000 once again. Big mental barrier. Back in between the 200 and 300 moving average, which I said would be happening and would be what you want to see. But who is causing this? Who's buying? And will the seller be dumping? Because it is 9:02 a.m. my time. The seller should wake up between now and 10 a.m. if they're going to be selling. But we saw Bitmine deploying more capital over the weekend, buying another over $40 million in ETH. They keep buying. They keep hoarding. I think they're running a little low on cash, but they like the dip that they are seeing. This tells you that the quants and the Thomas Lee believe that the Ethereum low is already in place, and that's why they keep DCAing at these levels, chasing their 5% of total supply and looking to stake even more of their assets.
I think Tom Lee and Fundstrat view Ethereum very similar to how Michael Saylor views Bitcoin. And I don't think they're looking to sell it, maybe ever. The great thing about Ethereum, too, compared to Bitcoin, is you can stake and earn passive income that way. And then distribute a dividend to stakers, pay your payroll, whatever the case may be. So they don't need to sell. They're not going to sell. And I still think, if you're looking at an investment opportunity right now, there is no better one than ETH if you're talking about sort of risk to a potential reward. I just think at $3,000, highly, highly undervalued. All the institutions are in. Everything's getting tokenized. Ethereum's a productive asset that burns with every transaction. It's sitting around a $300 billion, $400 billion market cap. Probably the 30th most valuable asset in the world. Last I checked, Coca-Cola had a bigger market cap than Ethereum. So if you believe in the future of finance and that most things will be tokenized, if you understand the economics of ETH, it's very hard not to be bullish on it. And to me, it's extremely, extremely undervalued. Yeah, look at that, $366 billion. It's dropped
all the way down
recently
to number 38 currently, with a couple companies right on its tail. LVMH, Alibaba, ICBC, AMD. These are just like a couple good days away from being able to flip Ethereum as far as market cap, even with Ethereum rallying to over $3,000 today. So if you don't think there's upside, I think you're sadly mistaken, because even silver is all the way up here. Where is the silver? 3.878 trillion. So if you don't think Bitcoin is going to catch gold, you got to think it's going to catch silver, right? That's a 2x. What's that for Ethereum? My gosh. 11x to catch silver? Pretty crazy. Yes, Ethereum has some usage in technology, whatever it may be. But again, I liked, when I was a precious metal collector, because I have collectible coins and ounces and whatever, I was the guy who always preferred silver over gold because I thought there was a price gap in the ratio. Just like I'm saying there's a price gap in the Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio. That has played out. Ethereum is trying to close that gap. And, silver's trying to close that gap on gold. And we'll see how that plays out. I just think silver has more applications. Obviously, it's not as popular in jewelry. But when gold gets this expensive, all of a sudden people like silver, because 925 sterling silver jewelry is obviously a fraction of the cost of that of gold. And you'll start to see the jewelry usage up. You see it within thermodynamics for technology, GPUs, all these cards that NVIDIA is producing, etc. But the tough thing with precious metals over time, big institutional hand in there, big valuations, hard to move up by big percentages. And again, more gold and silver is mined each and every day. Like, you see the headline, China finds $2 trillion worth of gold. It's like, I am amazed at the market capitalization of gold is still in trust as an investment class. Now, whether it's for utility, jewelry, thermodynamics, different things like that, okay, I get it. But as an investment, doesn't make much sense to me because there isn't transparency. It's super heavy to transport around. It's hard to verify. We saw Peter Schiff get handed a gold bar by CZ. He couldn't even verify it on stage. It's hard to verify, so you can get duped very easily. Tons of dupes coming out of China as we speak. And every day, they mine more. Nobody truly knows how much gold is out there. You're going to find another treasure chest at the bottom of the ocean. Your grandpa's attic. You're going to dig and hit a vein of gold. I mean, we see the headlines all the time. And that's why I don't see it as a great investment class. And that's why I think the Bitcoin digital gold narrative continues to take off. That's what got me flipping from gold and silver back in 2017, 2016, rotating into Bitcoin. It was that thesis, was that narrative. You know, that was sub $1,000 Bitcoin. Now we're sitting here at 90,000, and the narrative is continuing.
They're absolutely going to find more gold because that's what always happens when gold price appreciates. People run out there and try to find more gold, and they do. Bitcoin is the only asset that's verifiably scarce. 21 million can never be created. We've already lost about 4 million Bitcoin. So, you know, it's only a matter of time before the wider market sort of wakes up to the potential of Bitcoin. You also need the Greek candles to come. We talk about that a lot. Then people will start FOMOing back in. I actually think if you're going back to the Ethereum discussion real quick, I think the better comp, we've talked about this before, is Microsoft. If Microsoft built sort of the operating system for like Web 2.0, you could argue, well, Ethereum is the operating system for Web 3.0. And you're looking at a 10x price differential between Ethereum, which is around $300 billion market cap, and Microsoft, which is $3 trillion market cap. So look, it may take another 5 or 10 years to get there. And to be clear, Microsoft may be worth $5 trillion at that point, right? It's not like the other assets aren't going to go up as time goes by. They will. But if you're looking for outsized performance without a ton of, risk, right? A lot of these other altcoins, even Solana, I think, has a lot of risk. Maybe more than people want to believe. Ethereum, man, I'm hodling it.
And how do we get the liquidity coming back into the markets? Well, breaking. Fed confirmed 6.8 billion injection today at 9 a.m. Eastern time, so that should have happened about an hour ago. Money printer goes burr. Will we be seeing the Jerome Powell memes again of him just shooting out that money into the economy, into the ecosystem, then that finds its way into the financial markets? Well, today, I'm sure we'll see headlines if this injection happens. Tuesday, the U.S. GDP data drop. Wednesday, initial jobless claims, and potential next interest rate cut is a month away at the end of January. So let's just try to enjoy the holidays. Hopefully we get a Santa rally. Hopefully we can get 95,000 by the end of the year. And then again, we're betting on another interest rate cut in January to get that QE going, to get those interest rates down, to try to get liquidity better. We do know that Trump did send a $1,776 stimulus check to military members. You should have already received it, or you will be receiving it before Christmas. Spend less on plastic toys and more on digital coins. That's what I like to say. So let's do that. And then hopefully we get some more stimulus checks, lower interest rates, more QE, and let's pump these markets in 2026. And leave all the 4-year halving cyclists who are sitting on cash right now having to FOMO in at higher levels.
It's absolutely all going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's unfolding before our very eyes. I know it's hard to see right now. We've been suppressed and manipulated down, and 1010 wrecked all the market makers, and they're dumping, and who knows, China might be dumping too, and Bitcoin sub 100K, and the sentiment's crushed, and fear, and it's so painful. Guys, the market's going to pump again. Bitcoin's not going to zero. We're going to hit an all-time high again in 2026. And who knows, we may even reach Nick's prediction of $244,000 Bitcoin if we see retail make a massive comeback here and we see QE coming into play and all those great things happening. So, I know it doesn't feel great right now, but it's going to be fine. And with that, Merry Christmas to you, Frank. Thank you for jumping in here, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Yes, should we start calling Powell wet towel? Should we call him wet towel? I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's look, I know he's been too late, and I know I haven't agreed on with all his decisions. He's been, hasn't cut the rates aggressively enough and all those things. But he hasn't done a horrible job. I mean, could have been worse. I guess that's my glass half full take. I am looking forward to him being replaced. I do think, by the way, Trump will announce the next head of the Fed in January. He's been interviewing people, right? He's been interviewing a bunch of different people. He's working on it. He hasn't announced who it's going to be yet, but that's fine. So let's let him do that in the new year. Let's see the Fed continue to do this sort of shadow QE or QE light. They haven't yet done any sort of aggressive QE that's going to drive down the long-term interest rates. We need to see that, but I think it's going to happen. It has to happen. They got to pay off their debt somehow. They're going to do that by printing more money, and that's going to be good for your risk assets.
Bitcoin back above 90,000, and Frank says that AVAX is going to $240. Well, there you go, guys. If you're looking for an altcoin, Frank says he has the alpha. AVAX to 240. If Bitcoin goes to 244, Ethereum goes to 22, AVAX $240. What's that mean for BNB? If Bitcoin goes to 240,000, Ethereum goes to 16 to 22,000. What does BNB do, Crypto Amaru?
I don't know, but
2,000, 3,000, 4,000?
No, for sure. I mean, 3 to 5x, But, those kind of alt seasons, just remember to take profits, guys. That's all I can say. Just remember to take profits. Oh, man, this will be my third, this is, it's a third or fourth cycle, by that point. And you just got to remember to take profits when those things happen. I will be upset, though, if BNB hits 4,000, because I had to sell some the other day, sub $1,000 BNB to pay some bills. And it just fucking hurts, doesn't it? But, yeah, AVAX to 240. I don't know, man. It's tough. I think, yeah, there may be a discrete moment in time when, your more dinosaur L1s and your big coins, they start to pump like crazy. And they may do well for a few months. I just don't know, like, long haul, how any smart contract platform is going to dethrone Ethereum. Maybe it doesn't need to dethrone it. Maybe it just needs to, do halfway decently for investors to make money. But, like, don't you think there comes a time when, like, the network effects and everything that's going for ETH kind of just drowns out all the other L1s? I mean, who knows? I guess you could, like, why is Ripple worth anything? Why is Cardano worth anything? Like, no one does anything over there, and yet they're still worth billions. So I guess I'm probably wrong. But, yeah, I just feel like from an L1 standpoint, it's going to be very hard to outperform Ethereum in the long haul.
Yeah, just quickly, because we haven't really talked about politics today. I don't know if you saw that news that came out. Biden won Georgia in 2020 by 11,779 votes. 5 years later, they have admitted that 315,000 votes in Georgia were actually counted illegally. Fulton County admits they violated the rules and certified 315K early votes that lacked poll worker signatures and should have not been counted in the presidential election in 2020. And all the conspiracy about was it stolen, that's not even the one. Pennsylvania is the one that mathematically is improbable, and they had to cheat because the chart just doesn't work that way. That's not how math works. But Georgia, the math didn't math either. And what do you know? They injected 315K votes that they've admitted to in one county alone. So all of the 26% inflation that you saw and all the chaos and the DEI and the wokeness and setting the country back, at least that's in my opinion, shouldn't even have been a thing. And Trump shouldn't even be in power right now because he already would have served 2 terms. Pretty crazy that the best democracy in the world, you get called a conspiracy theory if you say that it's fixed, that there was stolen, that there's fraud. And then 5 years later, slowly county after county, they're saying, oh, oopsie, we did count 315,000 extra votes in an election that was only $11,000 or 11,000 vote difference. Pretty crazy information. So if you were made fun of by your family members or whatever for being a conspiracy theorist, well, I would send them over that headline and told you so. Because when the math don't math, there's something going on. Because math exists for a reason. It doesn't believe in your emotions. It doesn't care about your emotions. It just tells you reality when the data is there.
Was that from votes that were just, like, made up out of thin air? Or I thought it was, like, votes from illegal immigrants or people that shouldn't have voted.
If it's not certified, Fulton County is not going to tell you all the details. They just said there's 315,000 that shouldn't have been certified, and if a poll worker didn't sign it, that's because it was coming from an outside source. Could be a double vote, could have arrived later, could have had a wrong postmark on it, could have been from an illegal alien. You're not going to really know always, but the fact of the matter that a Democrat, board in Fulton County is not like, oh yeah, oopsie, 315,000 extra votes that shouldn't have been certified. That's pretty eye-opening to what is going on a broader scale across the country, especially in those cities, whether it's Democrat or whatever. That's seemingly where all the conspiracies stem from, not just because Trump won, but because that's where you saw the erroneous math. If the math doesn't, if I'm looking at a chart and we're trending like this, and then all of a sudden one does this and this one keeps doing this at 2 a.m., that's improbable. It's not possible to happen. That's not the trend. And when you have those dumps, when it's 60-40 all the way, and then you have a dump and it's 100% and zero, something's going on there. So pretty crazy to see. Nothing you can do about it now. Just thought I would bring that to people's attention because yet another conspiracy theory over the past 5 years has become a reality. It seems like a trend nowadays more than ever. Probably happened in the past. You just didn't ever get transparency. You didn't have social media. You didn't have whistleblowers. And now we live in a different world where people can really analyze data, use AI, and really get to the bottom of what is actual truth.
Well, we certainly need to get any sort of fraud, potential fraud, cleaned up before the 2026 midterms, and then certainly before 2028. I've been, studying JD Vance a little bit more closely, just because he's popping up on my feed and stuff. I think he's got a great chance to win the presidency in 28. So, folks got to get out there and vote. Let's continue to clean up the country. Let's get out any illegal aliens who may otherwise vote. They got to get out. And they have to engineer economic recovery. That's the biggest thing. Like I was on X this weekend. I'm seeing a lot of infighting and a lot of stuff like Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, all this stuff. And I'm like, dude,
you guys are still on the same side of the aisle, whether you like it or not. It's a two-party system. Like if you're on that, like that's the thing too. Now with Trump in power, people are trying to nitpick that. It's like, would you rather have the other option? Do I love everything that happens on the right or Trump? No. But when I compare the two, would I rather have what we have now, or would I rather have DEI, wokeness, fraud is rampant in Minnesota? They're now up to like 14 billion in fraud findings up there from Somalian immigrants who don't even like America. Fuck that. Fuck that shit. So no, I would rather not be on that side, and I'll take some of the good with the bad on the other side of the aisle. As I find myself a moderate, I used to not even care about politics until it got so bad that I'm like, what are you talking about? Death to America, fuck America, fly a different flag, you're only here to extract from the economy. That's not what America is about. America is about the opportunities, the freedom, the privacy, and patriotism for this country. And when you come here, you're supposed to pledge allegiance to this country. You're supposed to say, fuck all the other countries. I'm American. I embrace United States of America. I'll die for this country. And if you don't feel that way, go somewhere else. But nobody else wants you. That's where I get the hiccup, where I hit the speed bump. Nobody else wants these bums. And we took them in over the past 4 years with open eyes, open arms, subsidized them, evangelized them, and gave them power. Fuck that. No more, and I don't want it.
The EU took them in too. The EU took them in too.
Yeah, I don't want to be the
mistake
EU.
as
I don't
well.
want to be the UK, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I think most average everyday Americans agree with you. I mean, you see what's going on in Minnesota with the rampant fraud. In California, it's even worse. Hasn't yet all fully come to light, but it will come to light. The Democrats are cooked. I just think that the Republicans, instead of arguing over conspiracy theories and Israel and all this shit, just make the economy do well. That is literally all anyone cares about. Like, I don't follow any of this conspiracy theory shit. I don't follow what they're fighting about. That's like petty stuff. Forget that. Focus on making the economy as strong as it possibly can be. Get inflation more under control. They're working on it. I think they're continuing to do a good job. Get the economy back on track. Make sure jobs are prevalent and well-paying. And make sure the financial markets are in great shape. And if you do those three things, inflation, jobs, markets, you're going to win every election in perpetuity. You really will. So I don't care about the Ben Shapiro shit, the Candace Owens, the bullshit. I don't even pay attention to that. Just make the economy. It's the economy, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. I know all our loyal listeners agree.
Talking about inflation, Kathy Wood said there could be, something crazy in 2026 like we saw in COVID where inflation goes to near zero. I don't know if that's true, but I do think the trend is your friend. Inflation under control. Inflation continues to head down. Interest rates continue to head down. Liquidity injections come. And the ISM starts creeping up. And like we said, we'll be looking at that. Oh, wow. Not a 4-year cycle anymore. 5-year business cycle. Maybe a 6-year business cycle. We'll keep following along, and I know that's what we're all rooting for. Frank over here, RWA is huge on AVAX. I do believe RWA is going to be a good sector for crypto, whether that's over the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. So if it's big on AVAX, maybe that's how it catches the bid. And then we got 88K is a key level for Bitcoin. As long as we stay above it, is bullish scenario still valid? 88K would put you at a higher low. So yeah, we like to see these higher lows still get grinding. We would love to see $95,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year for many reasons. Bull candles get you above the moving averages, above resistance, but it is a big number for MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy is leading the way when it comes to institutional FOMO for Bitcoin. So 95K Bitcoin by the end of the year is what you want to see, because you want Michael Saylor out there raising more funds and buying more Bitcoin. And then the Wise 10 says, talking about a big oops. I don't know what that was referred to, but cool on that. And then Frank, yeah, forgot about that. The NVIDIA short, he did close it with a small loss amidst the China news that came out the same day. Switched it to a bull 15 with close above $182. And right now it looks like he just made some money. Maybe he recouped the losses because NVIDIA just opened up and it is $183.58.
NVIDIA is going to be a big winner over the next 10 years too. So I would just long it, just stay long. I know you're trading with leverage, day trading it, which I don't recommend to do. But if you're just like myself and like to hold spot, just hold it, long it, whatever. NVIDIA is going to do great. They're powering the entire AI revolution. The one thing that could trip up Republicans, I want to circle back to this, is this healthcare stuff. They got to fix that. And I know they want to. And the problem wasn't, they didn't create the problem. Obamacare largely created the problem. Also, just the fact that insurance companies just price gouging pieces of shit. You go to the doctor here, you tell them you don't have insurance, they'll be like, oh yeah, that'll be $50. Oh, I got insurance. Oh, that'll be $1,000. Are you fucking kidding me? Obviously, the insurance company doesn't pay the full $1,000. It is a mess. Healthcare is a mess, and I know it's not an easy problem to solve. But if the Republicans can come up with a comprehensive, sort of coherent proposal to lower costs, even if it means cutting to the bottom line of these insurance companies, then they're absolutely going to win the midterms. So, in health, because I'm seeing these posts, man. Like, I'm a family of 4. I'm paying $30,000 a year in insurance, and my deductible is still $10K.
Yeah, talking about math with health insurance, the math just don't math. Like, literally, you're probably better off unless you get in a fatally, critical crash or you get cancer. You're probably better off not having medical insurance, because, like you said, on many things, your deductible and or your out-of-pocket level is higher than if you just went in and said, I don't have insurance. Oh, $150 for the procedure. Cool. It sucks. I got to come out of pocket $150, $1,000, whatever. Your deductible that you have to spend out of pocket for the whole year is, as if you're a family of 4, $15,000, $20,000. And on an average year, I go to urgent care once. It's like, it's not, it costs me $50 anyway still. So if I just don't have insurance, it costs me $150. Oh, woo, okay. So yeah, I think the biggest thing, like you said, I think the brightest minds then figure out how to solve that, because that affects everybody watching this show. It affects your family members, young and old. It affects your pocket in a big way, and if that's affecting your pocket, then you can't invest. But number 2, I also think the dumber minds of the Republican Party, instead of trying to focus and try to fix something that they're too stupid to fix, they need to get on mainstream media and reiterate that this was brought on by Democrats and by Obamacare, because all the Democrats are blaming it on Trump, on this or that, and trying to garner votes that way, when you were spot on. This was created by Obamacare. They knew it was going to happen. They created a system that they knew wasn't going to work, and they enriched the insurance companies while doing that. There's no reason insurance company publicly traded stocks should go up 10x in valuations and outperform some of even the best and brightest companies, small caps and tech companies in the world, when they're supposed to be selling insurance as a service. That is wild that an insurance company is making that much money that their stock prices are doing 5x's and 10x's and outperforming the 100K shitter on the crypto casino. That is crazy to me.
Altcoins should definitely be outperforming insurance company stocks, and it's a travesty that they're not. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, they got to fix the healthcare mess. And I don't think the fix is, just subsidize people more. Just, take from the taxpayers, print more money, hand it to the insurance companies, and, problem solved. That's the Democrat solution, by the way. Reinstate the subsidies. Money grows on trees. So, do with the information what you will. Vote with some common sense and your pocketbook in mind, and we'll be okay. But look, I'm overall feeling bullish about crypto. I do not think we get a Santa pump. Maybe a little bit. Maybe we get back to 95K. That'd be nice. But that isn't going to commit. That is not going to change anyone's lives. It's okay, cool. We're back at 95K. Big whoop. I'm looking at January. I'm looking at February. We have the end of January rate decision. Maybe we can check in on the
Market real
bets.
quick.
Yeah, on that, because last I saw, the percentage had gone down
Yeah,
for
it does
some
look like it's gone
reason,
down
but
a
it doesn't
little
make
bit.
sense to me. We just had a gangbusters inflation report that was like 40 basis points lower than expectations. We should be, cut. I don't know what the betting
What's
market
interesting
sees
is
that I don't.
the 25 basis point cut. I think it was around 25%, maybe 23%. So that is down. The no change is up, but what also is up is the 50 plus cut is up from less than 1% to up to 2%. So
Well,
the 25 is down from 25 to 18, and you're like, okay, well if this went up 2, it's still effectively 20, but overall still down on the cut, higher on the no change. So interesting. A couple people are more aggressive like us and like, you know what? I'm going to put money on the 50 cut because I think that's possible. And then the other half is pulling it off the cut and switching it to no change. But I'm still think we're going to get a cut. I doubt we see a 50. That would be nice. Surprise the market. I still like this because this is like the last cut we had where you can surprise the market a bit and try to continue to put in higher lows like we've been seeing rather than having to sell the news event. Same thing happened with the Japan. Remember we said that. Everybody's like, oh my God, Japan is raising rates. Everything's going to zero. Bitcoin's about to crash another 20%. Well, meanwhile, Bitcoin's up 5%. Ethereum's up 5% since that happened, because there was a 98% chance of happening, and it's been talked about for over a month. So people were already unwinding their investments. It could still have an effect. It still probably slowed things down, but that effect is primarily already seen probably a month ago, and that's probably what reinforced the downtrend we saw on Bitcoin and ETH after the liquidity crisis and then the speculation that Japan could be raising rates a month ago.
yeah, I mean that was a headwind that's been in effect for months now. And you have to understand how Wall Street operates, and the top tier financial firms. They're well out in front of that. They're well out in front of these the rate decisions from Japan, and they're going to be unwinding many months ago and selling assets and covering their debts or whatever the case may be ages ago. So I don't think the Bank of Japan rate decision is going to cause another 30% crash overnight. That's already well priced in. I am curious though, like what the bettors on Polymarket, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? I know Powell basically said, well, we're really close to neutral, whatever that is. They never really define what neutral is, but he said they're close. Okay, so that's one data point in favor of no change. I know there's a number of Fed governors that have been resistant to rate cuts for months and months because inflation's not exactly at 2%, and so therefore we got to keep a lid on the economy still, and then probably politically motivated as well. But outside of those two data points, we just got some of the best inflation data numbers surprising us to the downside in months and months and months. I can't remember the last time we got an inflation reading that good. So what are these people seeing?
Yeah, and he was, instead of being hawkish, he was dovish or neutral too. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think we got more data coming out on tomorrow, Tuesday, and on Wednesday as well. We'll see what those look like. But I think the trend is your friend, and more cuts are coming. And I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of these dates end up being cuts, but at least 2 of the 3 will be cuts. And then in May, you get the new Fed chair as well. So.
Yeah, no, things are looking good from a rate standpoint. They're going to continue to cut rates. The thing that concerns me is that the long-term interest rates, which is the rate that affects everyday Americans. Remember, the Fed only sets the overnight lending rates to the banks. So basically what the Fed is charging to banks to, get money.
That doesn't mean the bank always passes it on to you, the consumer, yet.
No, the bank isn't doing that, and that's they're not passing the lower rates on because the long-term interest rates from the bond market are still like 6%. So your mortgage is still like 6%. Your car loan 6%. Your credit card still like 25%. Whatever the credit card interest rate is, always enormous. So it hasn't gotten passed on. My understanding, and I'm by no means an expert in this area, is that in order to drive down the long-term interest rates, if the rate cuts aren't doing it, they're going to have to step in with quantitative easing. So just another reason why the Fed is going to have to make that money printer go burr, as it were, and start injecting money into the financial markets at a more aggressive rate than they're doing so now.
I agree. Rifa Crypto agrees, says yes, DCL dips. We don't have Hexbull in here. He's probably sleeping in. He already cashed into a lot of his crypto, thinking we're going lower, so he's not tuning in right now. But we'll see what happens. I know he tags me on Twitter every once in a while and shows, the bearish pictures. But the bearish, again, is a rally to 110,000 Bitcoin, and then Ethereum going to be above 4,000 if I'm right on ratios. So let's worry about that when that happens, and I would be rooting for that as well. If that's your bull trend, is Bitcoin rallying to 110K and then rolling over again, hey, I'll enjoy that ride up, that $20,000 ride on Bitcoin, that $1,000 to $1,500 ride on ETH, those green candles on Pulse Chain, and then we can reevaluate when that time comes. So if the bears were even saying we need a rally, I'm okay with that.
Bears are hibernating. They're sleeping today. The bulls are out in force. We're here. We're active. Want to bring up a couple points before we jump off for the day. Crypto's so boring right now, says Frank. Trades to be made on stocks. Yeah, I mean, true. Sure, absolutely fine. But I will tell you this. Pretty much all the money all the big money that I made in crypto happened when I was investing during boring, consolidations, downtrends, red market, blood, whatever you want to call it. All my best trades, all my best investments were made in that environment. And I want to just highlight a project that we are looking to invest in here at Crypto Paradise that I think if the market turns around and few of the things come to fruition like we think they can, I think Vault 777 can do very, very well for us. If you want to throw up the Crypto Paradise main Twitter, okay. They just completed a $7,000 giveaway, actually, for those who are using their casino that just went live on mainnet. But we did a little tweet. I've been doing some digging into Vault, helping them with their pitch deck, things like that. And the more I come to understand the project, the more bullish I get about them. So this is a little competition they did. That's great. I think that's actually over. They'll be doing new ones here pretty soon to drive some more users on the casino. But the potential from an investment standpoint is actually sort of amazing. The way that their system works. First, they're the first fully on-chain casino. So you can see the outcome and the inner workings of all the casino games basically running on the Arbitrum network. Every other casino, it's basically a black box, right? Like, I want to play the slots. You don't know if it's rigged against you. You don't know if it's fair. There's no transparency there. So these guys are solving that fundamental problem of lack of transparency and lack of apparent fairness by basically bringing all the games on chain. That's the value proposition of the product. Very compelling if you're a gambler, okay? So that's first and foremost. But then secondly, from an investor standpoint, they have a very generous sort of, let's call it fee sharing or revenue sharing, or what it is really, if you stake their token, you will earn a percentage of the casino's earnings, right? And how their revenue works, every transaction, every roll of the dice on the casino incurs a 2% fee. I believe 1% of that goes to the treasury, and then 80% of that 1% goes to stakers. I know it sounds a little convoluted and complicated, but basically what it comes down to is if the casino does 10 million a month in volume, right? In transactions and people gambling on the casino. 10 million a month. I think it's $80,000 per month will be shared with token stakers. If that number goes up to 100 mil, you're working at 800K a month in passive income distributed to the stakers of the token. Do I know for sure it's all going to play out that way? Of course not. But their test net was very encouraging. Their test net, I think, had like 450 million in volume during the test net phase. So look, do your own research, not investment advice, but I just telling you, like, when you find a gem like this and the market's shitty and the market's boring, you can get in a good valuation. That's why I made a lot of my money in crypto. So shout out to Vault77. Wanted to cover that real quick at the end of the stream. What are your thoughts? Have you gotten a chance to look at these guys here, Nick? Because they're pretty.
I haven't dug in that much. I've been on one call with the founders. They seem like they have a lot of stuff going on. They got one guy who's super analytical and kind of talking high level on how the system works, and another guy that talks more about, hey, the vision and what's going on with community engagement. They sound pretty educated, so we'll see how it all plays out. And I like what I see. Obviously, I've been a fan of casino products in the past. Obviously, betting is massive right now. And this one seemingly is going to try to do what others have not done and been transparent, but also incentivize stakers to stake and pay out based off that guaranteed fee structure. Other casinos that we talked about wanted to do this. Dead Prez comes to mind. It had big 100x gains, and then it's giving it back because theirs doesn't have a set fee. They need the casino to actually make money with the betting to then pass it on to stakers, versus this is like almost like a fee on transaction where guaranteed you have better odds to win, but there's a guaranteed 1%, 2% fee on all your transactions, in which that gets funneled to stakers immediately. So whether the casino's up or down on any given day, it's all based on betting volume rather than betting outcome.
Yeah, and if you want to sort of juice your earnings even more, you can actually become a liquidity provider to the casino, meaning you can sort of lock up your funds. It's all done via smart contract. Basically deposit your funds, and that helps bankroll the casino, and then you're going to earn more from the volume creation and the fees, et cetera, that the casino makes. So it's kind of flipping the traditional model of crypto casinos on its head. Transparent, fair, fully on chain. Stakers earn percentage of revenue. Liquidity providers even earn a greater percentage of the revenue. Like you said, the team is knowledgeable. They know what they're doing. They've been in the Web3 space a long time. They've been in the gambling space as well. So we're bullish on it. We'll be looking to offer an opportunity to the Crypto Paradise DAO, the Surf DAO members, to get in the private sale. The one thing I will say too about their project and their token utility, the way the token economics are set up, it's going to be very tough to buy big bags once the token's launched, because they don't have a ton of tokens set aside for liquidity. Their model is a little bit different than maybe some other projects. But the main way to get the token is going to be in through the pre-sale. It's going to launch at a pretty high valuation. There's not a ton of tokens in circulation. And so, you could buy a bunch when it hits the market, and that might work. But if you want to buy a big bag and be able to stake the entire time, pretty much the only way to do that is through the private sale.
We'll keep you guys posted on when that is going on, what's going on with the launch, what's going on with the platform if you just want to be a user of the platform. And then, of course, we'll be following up with how the results turn out month after month. Like, is it worth buying this asset for speculation of price go up because you're in the doldrum of the alt season anyways? So if alts come back, it probably catches a bid, but also for the revenue generation by being a staker on that platform as well.
Yeah. Wait, I'm trying to show the comment here. Oh, wait, no, here we go. Remember Rollbit? Yeah, this is... Vault77 is similar to Rollbit. Rollbit did incredibly well from a token price standpoint. It's still a great business. I know the token has depreciated in value, but it's still a great business. I'm sure it's making millions every month still. Gambling is one of those kind of evergreen opportunities. And I think with prediction markets being as hot as they are, sports betting being as hot as it is, alts doing nothing, gambling is kind of the new alts market, is it not? So,
Rollbit's still a $123 million market cap with 300,000 in trading volume, even after the big sell-off in the overall market and altcoins and everything else. So, Rollbit's still 6.7 cents, $123 million market capitalization.
Yeah,
with worse token economics, arguably as well.
That's not even, I think, where the big money is to be made. With an investment like this, it's to imagine if you were it's like a part owner of Rollbit. I don't know what the token utility is for the Rollbit token. I don't think it's a revenue share thing. I could be wrong, but I just think the name of the game for something like Vault is actually just earn passive income from the staking, and the token should do well too if everything comes and plays out like we think it can. But passive income from the staking because you're basically a part owner of the casino. I don't know. I think that's something that Rollbit provides for. So casinos are regulated. Be cautious. Absolutely. Look, all these things, man. We talk every low cap, every project we talk about on the show. Be cautious. Be cautious. Do your own research. I mean, we've gotten wrecked many, many times. We've also done well. So, it's risk reward, just like any other thing. Not financial advice. That's always the disclaimer, of course. Do your own research. But yeah, for me, thinking back to when I did very well, it was always investing during the blood, investing when the market was kind of shifting from very bearish to bullish. And hopefully early 2026, we start to see that shift, finally bullish again.
I think that's about it today. Ethereum still above 3,000. It's up to $3,034. I think Bitcoin's back below 90 at 89,500. Will that pesky seller strike today, or will Bitcoin try to hold as it's worked up some gains over the weekend heading into Christmas? Come on, we want the Santa rally. Give us a little $5,000 rally by the end of the year. We'll be happy.
Wouldn't that be nice? A little holiday cheer, a little pep in our step. We need a seller to just run out of damn Bitcoin. And I don't know if it's a seller or a bunch of sellers. I mean, you're seeing some of the more sophisticated like insiders in crypto. Jody Visser comes to mind, going out there on social media in an interview saying basically he thinks 30% of market makers were liquidated on 10/10, and they've had to kind of unwind and sell assets to cover those losses. If that's really what happened, then of course we're seeing price sub 100K and it's being suppressed.
Well, 95K seems like a lot, but really, if you look at percentage-wise, it's only 6%. You're rooting for a 6% rally over the course of the next 10 days. The biggest move on Bitcoin occurs 10 days out of the year. So, I mean, to say that you don't think Bitcoin can go up 6% in 10 days, you haven't been in these markets very long. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's very possible for Bitcoin to hit 95,000 by the end of the year and get a 6% rally over the next 10 days. That's what you want to see.
Well, it definitely can happen. It's just we've been beaten down, and there's just been this downtrend for so many months now. We've basically been in a bear market for 2 years for altcoins that you sort of just lose confidence and lose faith that it can happen. We know Bitcoin. I mean, if you're not in the market for those 10 amazing days, you're going to be in a loss. So, we know how Bitcoin works from that standpoint. We hopefully remember that this asset class can pump and run, but man, it's been so brutal for so long that you kind of forget a little bit, don't you?
Yep. I mean, we covered a lot of news. We primarily focused on Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of the large caps like Bitmine, Sharplink Gaming, MicroStrategy, etc. We didn't dive too much into other altcoins because, quite frankly, they're not doing anything. So we don't have the alpha, so we're not going to stare at the charts when nothing much is going on. And I guess just stay tuned. We'll see if that switches very soon. We talked about Volt 777, potentially a new launch project that might interest some of you guys from a user perspective and or staker revenue share perspective. And we're taking a look at Polymarket. We still think the interest rate is coming. The markets disagreed a little bit with us over the weekend, but a couple people putting big money on actually a 50 basis point cut coming in January, which would be quite the change of events for the Fed if that happened.
Is that like the big money that bet on Jake Paul to win that fight?
The big money was the bet on. I was rooting against him. He lost. Jake Paul lost. We forgot to talk about that. He lost on Friday. On Saturday, Andrew Tate actually lost in a boxing match as well. That was interesting. A lot of people are like, oh, he did just jump in, hasn't fought in 5 years, and was getting a chance at the heavyweight title belt, and he's not even a heavyweight. So I had it on the points that Andrew Tate won the first 4 rounds. They got beat up in the last 2, but didn't go to the ground. So I had it 58-56 Tate. The judges had it 58-56 for the other guy. I don't even know his name, Demore or something, because he beat up Tate so good in the last 2 rounds. But by boxing points, I know it's a Misfits small brand, Tate never hit the ground, so there should have been no 10-8 round. Should have been 10-8, 10-9 across the board, and I think Tate should have won the draw or the victory. But it doesn't matter. He had a good speech about it saying, hey, you would rather try something and fail and live life with no regrets than always live a what if. So I'll leave you guys with that, because the what if is, what if Bitcoin goes to 1 million? What if Ethereum goes to 22,000? What if Pulse Chain does a 5x? What if Surf goes to 10 million and you decided to sell for pennies before the biggest rally the end of your life, and really changing the life direction of for generations to come?
Never live with regrets. Believe in something. Believe in yourself. Believe in hard assets. Bitcoin's doing those numbers, guys. It's not a matter of what if, it's a matter of when. And we'll see you guys on the beach.